Hi, I'm Melinda Van Fleet, and welcome to the Good Karma Success Coach podcast. I'm an author, speaker, and success coach who helps women believe in themselves, build confidence, and take action. In 2009, my husband Ryan and I were laid off at the same time, and we moved to the Florida Keys without jobs, not knowing anyone, hardly any money, and we never even been here. But we made it. And now, not every day is sunshine and rainbows, but we're living our best lives. All along in our journey, I've always said that someday when we get our shit together, we will help others. So each week, my intent is to be relatable and bring you tactical tips, tools, share my learnings and stories that can help inspire or transform you wherever you are in your career or general life and make an impact. I strongly believe that if I can do it, you can do it too. So what's stopping you? Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Good Karma Success Coach podcast. And thank you in advance for joining me. I have been trying to gather my thoughts on how I want to put this podcast together today. It's a little bit of a journey for me, and so I'm going to be sharing some examples and some things I've learned in this little journey, and hopefully you can apply it to where you are in your journey, whether you're an entrepreneur or you work a normal job, or maybe you don't work at all. Maybe you're a stay-at-home mom, which is work in itself. I'm going to say that because I'm not a mom, but I know stay-at-home moms it's like a full-time job. So whatever category you are in, this podcast is for you. And I'm going to be really honest because there's so much going on with this topic in my brain. I asked for help. I asked for extra spirit team help on this podcast so it comes out as best as possible. So bear with me as I walk through my thought process here. If you know me, you know I am all about a to-do list. I use different color Post-it notes. The size, I think it's like 5x8 every day. And every day I write on them what my to-dos are for the day, and I cross them off, and then I move it to the next day if I didn't get it done. And I'm extremely organized person. I have been extremely organized my entire life. I am a 3-5 human design pure generator. I'm an Aries, and I was brought up this way. Like, we grew up at the dinner table with my dad saying, study hard or work hard, save your money. Like, that was the conversation with my family, like growing up. Like, that's just how we grow up. I've had a job since I was 12. I worked 2 jobs through college and also worked 2 jobs when I graduated from college. So I've always been a worker, extreme, left brain worker. So over the past couple years since I got in this space and I have been more connected to the divine, to my team, and learning and growing so fast every day at hyperspeed, I have had to learn how to let go. And it has been probably one of the hardest things in my life. If you take out like shit that's happened to me, right? Like job stuff or losing my brother or Jason or my friend Amy or anything like that, taking all of that out of the equation, personally, internally, letting go has been my biggest challenge, my biggest thing to get better at in this lifetime. I wrote about it last year in Life and Love Lessons. So if you haven't read that book yet, you can get it on Amazon. It's easy just to Google my name. And it's also on Audible, so check it out. But it's still a journey. It's not easy. It is not easy. So if you are a left brain person like me, also a pure generator, you might be like shaking your head and nodding along. But it is really important to learn to let go because, as Abraham Hicks says all the time, we are co-creating with the universe. We are not in charge. And I know I've podcasted about that before. We are co-creating with the universe. So having a to-do list is nice, but at the end of the day, like, is your to-do really going to manifest? Now, if you listen to lots of coaches and buy courses and all the things, which I have done, I raise my hand high, they're going to tell you yes, right? But honestly, not always, right? Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but sometimes it works out for the better, which is really awesome, right? So what happened to me this week was I have a new client that I'm working with on the business side, not a life coach client, but a business client, and it's really been awesome. And I'm helping them start their business and get some momentum and some extra help even on the sales side as we build a sales team. And so I've been working with that, and I was waiting on something from the founder, owner, and just a natural progression of time. This is nothing negative at all. I was just kind of waiting. So I was getting other stuff done because, again, I'm super organized. So I'm like, okay, I'll get all this other stuff done. So it frees up time on the back end as I'm just kind of in this little bit of a waiting period for a piece of information. So on Wednesday, I ended up working on one of my 3 focuses, which I've shared in other podcasts, but just to reiterate here, 3 focuses for the years, not goals. I'm really kind of moving against goal setting, and this is kind of in conjunction, this whole to-do list thing, but focus. And one of my focus is to improve SEO and improve our 3 websites and also work that in with blogging. So it's a really, really big apple that I'm trying to take a bite out of. It's big. So I was going down a rabbit hole and doing some studying on that on Wednesday. And I had this feeling on Wednesday like, I'm not getting enough checked off on my to-do list because the rabbit hole was a little bit bigger than I had anticipated. So my left brain was starting to get frustrated. I'm like, oh God, like what the heck? But it had to be done. It wasn't something I could have avoided. So I actually had to coach myself out of my own frustration and be like, there's no other way that I could have done this today. This is what it is. This is part of it. This is why people don't learn web things and SEO, which is something I'm going to talk about in the Crush It in Sales podcast, that whole learning in hindsight, because I'm not upset with myself that I'm learning this. I'm actually really proud of myself that I'm learning this. So Wednesday kind of just became like, not the best productive day in regards to my checklist. Thursday comes along and I had a really good productive checklist morning. So I was feeling really good. I'm like, oh my gosh, great productive checklist morning. Then the afternoon comes and I'm still waiting from my client. Totally fine. And I went outside to walk the dogs and it was about 1:30 and the weather here in the Keys, not to brag, but just to set the stage, was absolutely gorgeous. It was one of those beautiful winter Florida days where the sun is shining, it's cool air, you just wear a sweatshirt and the sun keeps you warm. And I was like, I just want to be outside. And my intuition also went, take a walk. And I was like, what? Take a walk? What do you mean take a walk? I need to be in front of the computer. I need to do. I already took a walk. And I had to settle myself down and go, wait a second. I'm in pretty good shape, even though yesterday was kind of off. I made up for it today. I've gotten everything kind of done on the checklist. And there's actually a webinar that I'd signed up for. It was a free webinar that was an hour and a half, and it was going to be at 3:00. And I had signed up for this webinar purely out of curiosity. I don't follow this person. I know who he is. He is someone who collaborates with someone else's course that I have bought, if that makes sense. So I don't really follow her anymore either, but I have her big course. So I keep her email still to kind of keep up with that course when there's updates. So I was like, his course, his free webinar sounded kind of interesting. It piqued my curiosity, but I wasn't fully convinced that it was something I had to sit in front of the computer for. I figured it might be more validation than new information, which is very typical. So I'm like, you know what? I can listen to this free webinar as I take a walk. Just put my earbuds in, right? Pull it up on the email and put my earbuds in. So I got all ready. Texted Ryan, said, hey, I'm going to be going for a walk in the middle of the afternoon. I already took a walk in the morning. I always take my morning walk, but I was taking an afternoon walk. And I did it. And it was amazing. It was so beautiful out. I walked the farthest I've ever walked I went down 3 streets that I've never walked down before. The houses were gorgeous, right on the ocean, all this open space. I felt like I was in the Truman Show. If you remember that Jim Carrey movie from way back when it's just the sunlight is crazy. I actually think that was filmed up in Watercolor, Florida, and like the Destin area, which has that sunlight. It's just like this amazing sunlight off the water and the sand. And it was just the most refreshing walk. I listened to his webinar. It was fine. Again, I was right. It just validated some things I already knew and already some things I was working on and Ryan's been working on. But it was still good to listen to. And I came home and I was home by 4:15. It was only an hour and 15 minutes. It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. But I followed my intuition and I let go of the craziness of the fact it wasn't on my to-do list. I had to let it go, but I needed to convince myself that it was okay to do that. Where does this all start? It starts with awareness. It starts with awareness. You have to be aware of how you're feeling and what's going on and take a few seconds to think about it and go, oh, I don't feel good. Why don't I feel good? Is it really me or is it really my brain? Or heck, right now, is it really what's going on online with all these coaches going, you need a word of the year and what's your goals and how do you set goals and all this stuff, right? Like we're all mature adults. We can all set a goal. Like really, it's not hard. We can all set a goal. It's fun to have a friend to keep accountability with, for sure. It's fun. Make that a fun activity. And it's also fun to share ideas and bounce ideas off each other. I love that too. You know, there's strength in numbers and ideas and experience. But after that, like, I don't really think everyone needs to be like sitting in 5 gazillion goal workshops. I mean, I just saw a coach who's a really big name. She's doing like 5-day free workshop. Like, to set goals? Really? No, you don't need to do that. Take out a pad of paper and a pen and like write it down what you wish you to desire. And if you follow me and you want to shift a little bit and feel better, just make it your focuses. I picked 3 focuses, 3 things to focus on. Focuses is a word for the year. And I'm giving myself the time and the space to do it. And this week was a perfect example of how that worked out. Perfect example. Everything got done. Everything got done. Yesterday was a great day. I was able to do what I wanted to do for my client. That worked out great. I had some coaching clients that worked out great. Some great conversations with a friend. Like all these other things like all worked out. It all worked out. So between Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, all completely different days, it all worked out. So here's my thought. Like, what's up with the to-do list? Like, do I need it? What should I do? Because right now I'm staring at my little pieces of paper, my little pads of Post-it paper, thinking about the upcoming week and this weekend. What should I do? So to tie this off with a big cherry bow, I had signed up for a 5-night, it's at night, intensive. Out of curiosity, I have really let go of content consumption because I'm just not in that place anymore. But this person who I heard about a couple months ago and I've been following a little bit, I have picked up some tips and some validation. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sign up for his intensive and just kind of see what it's about. And I kind of had this feeling that, you know, it's really not necessary for me, but again, and then I thought it would be interesting to learn how he does this in terms of his business practice and also share it with a friend of mine, the information. So I've been right. It's been fine. Do I need to do it again? No, I don't. Nothing negative. I don't. I'm not in that place. So I'm not going to share what the name of the program is because it's not fair. And like I said, there's nothing negative at all. Like very grateful. All is good. I'm going to do all 5 nights. Totally fine. Just, I don't see myself at this moment doing it again. So anyhow, I did ask a question in the group. I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask a question. I paid for this intensive. I don't really like I'm kind of here or there on the question. I wasn't having like a major intuition hit of yes, ask the question, or no, ask the question. It was just a meh. But I'm like, okay, I paid. I'm going to do it. I'm going to ask a question. So I asked a question, and what came back to me? I don't need a to-do list. I didn't even ask about a to-do list. But what came back from my energy field and probably from my spirit team was don't focus so much on the to-do list. The to-do list is not as important. We are co-creating with the universe. So there you go. I wrapped it up with a big cherry on top, bow on top is what I meant to say earlier. When you put a cherry on top of your sundae or a bow on top of your present, the whole thing got wrapped up perfectly. So we'll see how this progresses, but I'm really, really, really excited about this learning from this week. And I hope me sharing this with you alleviates some pressure, because we put these pressures on ourselves. Think of everything I just said in the podcast about myself that I know. I put pressure on myself. And then social media and coaches and courses and content puts pressure on you, right? So think about all that and maybe chuckle a little bit, laugh a little bit, go take a walk outside, crumple up your to-do list and throw it away and see what the day brings you instead. See how you end up co-creating with the universe, and give me a shout out and let me know. That's all I've got. Till next week, be grateful, be curious, always be learning, and you know what? Have some fun too. Thanks for listening. All information on how to connect and my courses and all that stuff will be in the show notes. Check it out. Thanks.